draft does move on. We see the Mirana picked up by Execration, so I think this shifts the DK much more into that offlane role, Mike. Mid match of a Batrider, early counter from AG, not going to do as much. You still have some options for a ranged core to go against Batrider, and now you have that DK plus Mirana lane. We've seen Tino play that offlane DK multiple times as well, so it's something he's comfy on, and again, Tino has been performing spectacularly well from his ship from pause 1 into the offlane for Execration. So I like this combo from Execration. AG into the Nature's Prophet. Still fairly open. That could be our safe lane for DB. Because Pota is such a wild card, it could be a mid NP. I don't see that really happening though. So this is likely just a safe lane pick for AG. And in that sense, running down the Nature's Prophet with a DK Mirana is a lot tougher. You can protect your range creep with a Treant. You prevent that arrow play from just getting EXP. You stand fairly far back enough that the DK can't just run up and Dragon Tail you. So this should be a stable farm lane for DB if he does decide to play that pause 1.
All right. Fourth pick up though, AG. It does feel like they are kind of lacking some kind of AoE control, maybe some team fight here for AG. Like you've got Lasso, you've got Marcy with Dispose, but you don't really want to rely on that. You'd much rather some kind of big stun or just even a single target stun here for AG. I really don't like when teams pick Marcy and they only rely on Marcy to disable, right? Like, because Dispose is just not a good spell to rely on until you have Aether Lens. And now there's a Doom out. Mind you, you can go the Blink build, take the stun creep, take the Centaur, then you've somewhat got a stun, and obviously Doom, one of the better spells to throw out in terms of locking somebody down. It does start to make it feel like AG has a very greedy draft, though, if I might be honest, John.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about this, and I think our panel yesterday on Div1 talked about drafting and playmakers. None of these heroes are particularly big playmakers. Batrider can run up with Lasso. It becomes easier when you have Travel. It's way easier when you have Blink, but that tends to be a very stalled out timing for Batriders now. Doom, you mentioned a Blink build. It is nice. Again, Doom tends to still enjoy Midas. Whether or not you run it off lane or mid, you kind of still see Midas coming out everywhere. So the initiation's not there. You could say the Nature's Prophet could TP in, but he doesn't like starting fights, right? He joins in fights. Yeah. So I think the last pick for AG's got to be a great way of playing aggressive, maybe a more aggressive 5. I can see maybe the Marcy being played here by Norman, but mentioning that, AG are pretty flex with the Doom. I believe we have seen Norman play a Doom 4, so there is that possibility still. Maybe Wami can play that offlane Marcy you raised up earlier. Options are there, but you look at Execration into the Faces Void for Palos, and we saw this yesterday with Talon. That's count 1. You do have a strong safe laner already. You don't need, I mean, up against Doom, maybe that lane's a little bit tougher, but it's still not unplayable for Faces Void with Time Walk up. You have decent damage inside your Chrono, not amazing. I do like this combination in way. Chronosphere plus Upheaval. So when Chrono fades, you just can't run. It's pretty fun. It's not amazing. It's not damage, but it's kind of cute. It's fun.
All right, John. We'll see if that works out. I mean, if we're speaking about talent, John, I mean, RSG yesterday, I believe Roger was playing a Warlock, and we got to see how effective Upheaval was in a team fight. It was very, very good. If you were there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. John, who did you say was playing Void yesterday? I think I was having some hearing loss. What team was it last night, Void?
It was Talon. Savage played Void. RSG also picked it up once, so that's second. There you go, Mike. F10K betters, get it out. Of course, check out our odds as well from our partner.
Of course.
188 bet, of course.
Absolutely. Last banouts to come here, John. Army Geniuses focused on the mid lane. Obviously, the DK Moran are probably going to be in the off lane. They'll ban out the Lina. They'll get rid of the Pango. I mean, if you look at Execration's draft, it just looks solid, right? Like it has team fight. It has good tempo setting kind of draft as well. You need another mid lane on top of that, so you're going to have more damage to fly out and more tempo setting to fly out here from Execration. I feel like they just pick a mid lane that can just snowball out of control after, say, 10-15 minutes. And obviously, you still want to be able to lane against the Batrider, to be fair. But if you can get through the mid lane and just kind of tempo set, it's going to feel like Army Genius just can't catch up with this draft. Like, it's... Maybe now with the Beastmaster, maybe you can apply a bit of pressure, but I still don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's our Wami off. That means you're running Doom Marcy supports NP on the Pause 1. There's still potential to do something weird. You called out for a Marcy 1, I believe, when we were just looking at drafts last time behind the scenes, Mikey. I don't know if AG would do that for DB. I think he's still going to play that Nature's Prophet. Hear me out for the mid of Execration, though. I think an OD would be nice. They go with a Coddle instead, which
like
is cool, but the OD felt like it could have laned. Astral's pretty good to save against a lot of spells, but Bob Coddle, this is not something that you and I have seen too often. Of course, we know the power of that Coddle mid. You have great wave clear.
What is it?
I see Potatu's name. It actually is Potatu.
Wait, hold on. Let me see. Oh my god, it is. All right, there you go. I'm going to say it now. I can't not say it. He has chosen that name in the game. I'm saying it. That's it. It's locked in.
Oh, yeah. It's not our fault, stream watchers. But yeah, looking at these drafts, I do agree with you, Mike. Wami's offlane Beastmaster is a good way of kind of handling that Faceless Void lane. You can kind of just be aggressive. You could go for the board build up here, or the axes. Both of them are pretty good against the Void, as Time Walk doesn't dispel off the stacks. So Wami can still be aggressive there. I am worried about the support duo, Mike. Doom, Marcy support duo, not the most active. They can hit some good timings, and we've got to see how Narman plays that Doom. Narman, when he does play these kinds of pause fours, like say it's Tiny, he does tend to be aggressive, but it reaches a point by the 15-minute mark where you're kind of waiting for his blink timing. So I'm keen to see if that's something he'll do here on the Doom.
That's fair, John. We are going to head into game number 1 very soon here between AG and Execration. Jonathan, I do need to hear the Birthday Boys prediction going into this game 1. Who has the better draft, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think it's actually really even. I might lean towards Execration a bit. I think Bob playing something like the Keeper for Light, playing something very heavy tempo, suits his playstyle. He's known as this guy that just runs down. Of course, he is a very big Batrider player as well, so he knows how to work against the Batrider mid that Potatu will bring out. And I think Bob is going to be comfy and build a foundation for Execration's momentum.
All right, we'll get into it, John. Game number 1. Apologies, John. I kind of exposed us there for a second. Hopefully nothing too inappropriate as we do get into game number 1 here. See what they can get done. You know, I'm kind of leaning towards Execration myself. I don't see the drafts being that even, but I can kind of see where you're coming from. Because if AG, if they can say get a good start for this Beastmaster, I think Wami's going to have a lot of pressure on his hands to try and get this game going their way. And as well as that with the Batrider, right? Like, you're kind of expecting Potatu to not sit back and relax in this bat. Like, he's got to get active.
Yeah, definitely you got to be active. Oh, why are they talking about tournament payouts right now?
What?
Yeah, Palos is like, my Huya is here, the Huya Cup. Narman's like, mine was in my bank account a few weeks ago. Palos gives the very appropriate message, and Narman is also giving appropriate messages. God bless, I love these teams.
Hey, I know it's their last series in 2 or 3, John, but they've got to calm down a little bit. You know, can't get too spicy here. Not quite yet. Here we go. Who's this? Go on, Bob. Start your trouble, Bob. I love it. Potatu. Execration. We'll snipe a little tree in there. That'll be enough for them. I'll be happy with that. We'll start with the bot lane this time around, John. Tino and Shanks naturally going to be on the anime lane. The DK Mirana going to be against Varish, who smokes up here on the Marcy. And DB on the Prophet. John, what's with this smoke? Varish? Sentry ward placement? Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Sneaky. Did he smoke under the obs, though?
He
from
did.
Execration?
He did.
All right, so they might know something's up. They're going to be checking their camps down the line. Going back to those lanes you mentioned, Anime Duo is still pretty strong, right? You can try to go for the Dragon Tail place, but it's as we mentioned. DB on Nature's Prophet can just stand back. He's not going to care too much about Tino trying to run up and harass him. You've got enough mobility on Varish to try and trade. Probably your best target is going to be Varish if you can find the angle. Early levels for the DK will feel awkward, especially against DB. He does have significant right click, but once you have the levels in the Dragon Blood, that should be a stable lane. It does feel like this lane might end up a bit more farmy. Again, just because you can't run up Dragon Tail DNP means that you're likely just trading farm, and the Mirana's not going to be snowballing off of kills here.
We'll have a look at the mid lane as well. In fact, hold that thought, because they are going to make a bit of a bounce in here onto Tino, who's taking a fair bit of damage on that Dragon Knight, but he's going to turn around and fight back. Varish doing a very good job of just harassing Tino while he can. Of course, over in mid lane, Bob going to be on that Keeper of the Light against Potatu on the Batrider. John, how is this mid lane meant to go here? Who's meant to have the advantage?
I would actually say Bob has a better time. Right, you can just illuminate the wave, you can keep the chakra up. He doesn't have a small camp, and that's where AG's little play will pay off. That'll slow down Bob's build up just a bit. He's going to have to drag a sentry out, but it's not a very comfy time for Potatu. Like, yeah, you can spam the napalm out, you can maybe clear out the creep wave, with a Firefly. Every time you do though, Bob has a clear angle for that Illuminate. If Pota2 does hit level 6 earlier, that is a kill threat onto Bob.
Here we go.
But
wait, he's going to try. Sorry about that, John. I thought he was going to make the jump in with the Firefly, but he decides to kind of back off. Fair enough.
I mean, the move speed of Kotl's still really damn high, right? 320 base. Batrider 10 MS a bit slower.
Oh.
And you have the full boots up for Bob, so he doesn't care. Like, that rundown from the Batrider's not a major threat anymore.
He went for the small camp, John, but they blocked the small camp themselves. All right, I mean, you know, he's standing in. We'll be forgiving of that. You know, little mistakes happen. Obviously, he's not, you know, part of the team right now. Well, top lane, Wami and Nam are going to be against Vincenzo and Palos. The Void and Warlock lane, it doesn't feel like they can do too much to really slow Palos down here. You're always going to have Vincenzo just healing him up. Anything in particular you'd like to see AG do in this top lane, John, or do you expect it to just be a kind of trading lane between the two teams?
I think they're kind of set up for success already. You've got the mana burn creep on Narman, so you can just run up, burn the mana of Vincenzo, or just burn Palos' mana, prevent that time walk out, and just slowly chip away. We are seeing the board build from Wami. You can't really clear that out as Vincenzo. Shadow Word really does nothing here. In fact, Warlock's only here to heal, and beyond that, not offer any major aggression. So it feels really good for AG. They can at least shove out the waves with the Fatal Bonds, but these are two fairly tanky heroes. Like, both Beastmaster and Doom don't really care for that shared damage all too much.
Can I just say as well, John, I hate this mana burn creep, right? And I realize we don't have Dota tooltips. People are going to complain, so here you go, I'll do it for you. Why does it give a mana aura of 2 mana per second, as well as the mana burn, which is already, what is it, 50 mana? 50 mana to burn 100 mana on an 18-second cooldown. And by the way, just in case you're running out of mana, don't worry, it has a mana aura on top.
Very balanced, Mikey. It used to be even worse. Remember specifically one sub-patch nerfed the mana burn? It used to be on the lower cooldown, I believe 10 seconds.
Oh.
So it's 18 seconds now. Not as bad. It's still pretty bad. Palos going to be struggling. Going to have to watch when he uses that time walk or even the time dilation to be aggressive. At the least, again, you've got the saving grace of Vincenzo. I think the key thing for Execration here is to maybe try to build up stacks, get that condition for your flash farm to kick in, especially for Bob. You do want the Kotl to really reach that mid-game pace to open up the map for Palos to farm up. If they can do that, then your timing's still aligned, but it does feel slower.
Mid lane, Bob, he's in trouble. Pota2 going to try and move in. Bob should drop, but does try to Fairy Fire up. Still Pota2 going in, going after the kill, and does secure. Zvarish will hand the tip over. Shanks might at least be able to trade, and does do so. So you at least get something for your trouble as Execration. Certainly a pretty big win there, though, for the Batrider.
Yeah, manages to get that nice solo kill. Hits level 6 a little bit earlier now on Pota2. So you're going to have the threat of Lasso. You're going to be able to work the map and try to maybe get some early kills. Great start for Pota2 already. #1 in net worth. Dominating over that mid lane. Much slower for Bob. Again, with his small camp taken away earlier on, he couldn't quite build up the way he wanted to. Still, AG finding openings. You know, they drain Palos' mana completely up top, so they can start to shove in a bit. Kill threat still isn't that high from Doom Beastmaster, especially since you don't have solid hold. No Infernal Blade here for Narman, no Roar just yet for Wami, but you are putting the pressure onto Execration. So the early phase of the game definitely lining up Army Genius's way, and seeing a move on Bob again.
Yeah, mid lane, Lasso's up now, Bob. Oh, he's going to drop, I think. Pota2, he'll just go all the way for this, and another tip was handed out by Varish. All right, 2-1 already here on this Batrider. A really nice start for Pota2, and well, John, he's the stand-in. I mean, this is a kind of an unknown player to us, and so far, so good.
He's doing a great job. I'm not sure why Bob's even slightly forward. He's got to respect that spacing with Pota2. He's got to be able to just play the Illuminate game, stand back, get his farm up. Now his travels timing's going to be stalled. Pota2's going to have his travels much, much earlier, and he gets to scout out the stacks. They've got a nice forward ward here on AG. Not going to be clearing out yet. He can play with some of the aggression DB has. Nature's Prophet kicking in with a TP.
Look at this, John. I mean, he's right in. I wasn't expecting a rotation this early from DB, but Bob, he's just having such a rough time. Look at Pota2. Moving in again. Varish, he'll go for the dispose out. Oh, and he reaches. This is such a disastrous start for Bob. On this Keeper of the Light is Vincenzo. Almost going down as well, but is going to be able to survive. But Execration, bringing in 4 plays into the mid lane, trying to defend this mid-tier 1 tower. And the Coddle still dies.
Yeah, it's such a vulnerable hero. You've got a lot of jump on AG, just the threat of rebound from Varish. We're already seeing the highly impactful in gap closing and getting that stun. And for Execration, it goes back to what we said in the draft, Mike. There's no big playmaker for Execration. None of these heroes can start fights by themselves, really, until Tino gets a blink. That's the timing where you can maybe run around. You do have Chrono for some big team fights. Palos has nothing to play inside at, outside of Illuminate. Maybe Dragon Form on the DK could be nice. Everything else is not particularly amazing. I mean, I joked about Upheaval. Yeah, it's not damage. Void has massive damage issues early on, and AG, they don't really have much to wait for. Like, again, you can just jump in with a Marcy, you can start with teleportation out from DB. It's also kind of awkward initiation, but considering that Execration lacks initiation at all, you're kind of better off here on AG set.
Oh, absolutely. This is not the start I was expecting for Execration whatsoever. Potter, he was thinking about going right back in. The Bob knocking him back towards the keeper, and now Vincenzo. Look at this, no hesitation. He understands it's a free kill. Lasso committed. He's looking for another, and he'll take it. I appreciate that, John. He's got that killer instinct in him.
Yeah, well, when a guy calls himself Potatu, one would hope they would have very killer instincts and showing off here from Potatu. Doing great. You know, one thing's with stand-in sometimes you see, sometimes they just don't gel with the team. They've been playing around that mid really well. They've got space up top to push. It is Nature's Prophet and Beastmaster. Doesn't take too long to multi objectives with that inner beast or
Palos, nice chrono. He's found 2 of them here, John, but does he have the damage output? Not quite yet. Dispose is there. The chase will be on, though, as the Illuminate will take down Varish, but Potter, he's going to be okay to back his way out as Bob. He's getting so darn low. He needs to run the hell out of there. The illusions just doing all the damage out. They do stun him up and hold the Batrider down, but in comes Wommy and the cavalry. They want that mid-tier 1 tower. Still Shanks does at least snipe the dominated creep he did have. And that should put an end to it. But this Batrider still feeling very aggressive. Wanting to try and move in, but will eventually decide to back out.
And Potatu is just really working that early travels timing well. He knows the move speed advantage he has. He can catch up to the Coddle a lot easier now. Bob does have his own travels up, so maybe feeling a bit more secure. He still need to stall for the long game here on Execration. And the early aggression from Army Genius makes that pretty hard to see happening. And Wami's taking over top jungle. You've got an NP who's not afraid to TP around. Maelstrom almost done on DB now. And Narman, of course, working onto his Spirit Vessel, looking to be aggressive up front. And just all of these aspects, all of these early game spikes AG has, Execration aren't able to match. We talked about the potential of, say, Dragon Tail stun. Blink isn't up on Tino yet. He's had a slower lane. He's still finding farm bottom network Cordo. So all your aggression from that angle isn't coming out fast enough. Paula's still working onto his own Maelstrom. Still a bit further away in comparison to DB. And like the pacing's just not quite there from Execration.
Absolutely not. Look at this top lane, Bob. Oh, it's such a rough game for Bob. Well, we kind of talked about never seeing Bob play Keeper of the Light, John. I suppose right now you can kind of say there's a reason for it. It's rough.
It is rough, and I think the one thing that Execration did by picking the Coddle is to force that mid lane matchup, and maybe having that confidence because Bob plays a lot of Batrider mid. He knows the ins and outs. He should know the weaknesses. Maybe he has played games up against Coddle where he's like, all right, Coddle's a really great foil, but we're seeing a lack in that execution. Potatu still finds the angle in, still manages to run up from the laning phase onto the Coddle, and Bob's just never far back enough to be safe.
Disposes there, the Dragon Knight not going to be that tanky against the Batriders. They just hold it down forever, and Tino's gone. Wommy actually takes that one with the balls. He wasn't even around to get any damage out himself. And into the mid-tier 1 tower they go. Be a nice, easy mid-tier 1 to take as now bot lane. They want to force the fight onto Palos and Narman. It's a perfect initiation with the Doom out. Do they have detection? Apparently not, but it won't matter. He will still die, Narman. He'll claim the kill. Sad days for AG, John. These damn supports not carrying dust, so the carries couldn't steal the kill from Narman.
It's all part of Narman's plan, of course. He knows that there's a Moonlight Shadow. He wants some of the kills with Doom. And he finds it. It's a well worthwhile investment though, Mike. Spirit Vessel almost done, and Narman can be a bigger issue for the DK to stay alive. Try to stay tanky, roar out.
They found the Mirana. With this many units around, one Raw is just going to take down supports, no problem. So I say supports, but practically anyone apart from the Dragon Knight right now is very susceptible. But a nice Chrono. Palos, he's in. He's found DB on the Prophet, but where's the damage output? Now the Illuminate flies through, and that'll be enough. Great Chrono from Palos. Really punishing Army Geniuses for trying to go for that bottom tier 1 tower. And he does do a great job of it. Something they desperately needed on the side of Execration.
Just look at the cooldowns that Execration have to expend. Chronos 2 minutes away, next Golem's 2.5 minutes away. It's massive time for AG to just play aggressive with their single target pickoffs. We're only a minute away. You've got a good window here to look for a roar kill, to look for a lasso kill, to still work the map and not have any threats from Execration. It's still a big set of kills, but you have to watch yourself in that downtime as AG, knowing those big teamfight spells are down, might go straight into Rosh.
Why the hell not? You've got so many units you can abuse here against Roshan, and poor old Roshan, he just kind of stands no chances. Let's give Wami a few bashes there, but it won't matter in the end. For Execration, like you mentioned, spells on cooldown. Oh, Potter too, look at this, John. Bot lane. Oh, he's even blocking Palos. Palos, does he not realize? He doesn't go for the Time Walk away, and now they might have barely enough damage, but no, not quite. Palos gets a Time Walk off. Barish ran straight and cops the arrow to the backside, but is not going to get dived here by Execration. And in the meantime, they still go after Roshan AG, and they will secure it, no problem.
Just not, you miss out on a big kill, but you get the bigger map objective in the end from AG. You still have control of the top jungle. Execration are kind of scrambling his fort to find farm down in bot. It's so compressed. Like, you're sharing so much farm with all of your cores. AG is free to work a lot more of the map, still play efficiently, split push with the NP. And for Execration, the one shining light here, Mike, is that Tino's blink is only 500 gold away. So if you're patient enough to hit that blink timing, they can start to play that pickoff game with the Mirana combination. It's just that it doesn't feel like AG is going to allow them to wait, at least very safely here. DB almost at the full Sleipnir, onto the Athos first. Once that's up, even more AoE control, kind of tying into some of the weaknesses of AG. They'll have ways of just holding down a big group of people now.
Yeah, Execration, I mean, they need something. Desperately trying to get that blink up, and definitely will help them a little bit in trying to just find those solo pickoffs while these big spells are down. Speaking of those big spells, though, Palos does have Chrono back up in 10, and the Golem is back up in 20 as well. So if you're Execration, you might still not feel very confident trying to force a fight into the Aegis, and you're still behind in net worth, but at least you can kind of counter-initiate if you need to. So AG, they might need to be the ones to slow down a little bit and allow DB that time to farm the Prophet. Just kind of trust that the Nature's Prophet is going to be a real nuisance later on during this game number 1. I just wonder if Execration even bothered trying to smoke up with these big spells now. Or it just feels like there's no point, right? You just keep farming and hope for the best.
I think that's the safer play to go for. Just get that build if you want. Your Faceless Void is a late game menace. As long as you catch from those BKB piercing spells in your Chrono, I think the big one's really just going to be catching that Beastmaster out. Once you do that, you feel pretty secure once you've got the farm up to do damage on Palos' end. So just get that build up going. The network gap is still pretty big on like 7k lead for AG, a good substantial amount riding on DB. And it's not just the course you have to worry about. We talked about the blink timing of Narman. He is being allowed to build up into that point. Once that blink is up on the Doom, that blink Doom initiation could ruin the Faceless Void's day if he's not careful.
You got the Helm of the Overlord timing. Like, you kind of want to move right now. It's mid lane, Lasso, rather bot lane, Lasso has caught out the Void. Potter too, he plays very well in this tree line, John. He's been very good and very patient in this tree line, just waiting for a victim to show up, and this time around he's found the Void, but he might be the victim as well, as Tino should be able to get a stun off, does eventually onto the Bat Rider. Can they hold him down? Arrow is there, but he's still not tying yet. Potter, he'll go for the flame break out as the Golem gonna have to be dropped to help them out. Meanwhile, DB shows up. He actually takes down Shanks. It's DB, how do you get yourself out now? Well, he still does hold on to the Aegis, so they will lose the first life. Not too bad of a trade for Execration, but again, John, considering they lost their Void, it's not really great either.
It's not ideal, but at least you find a big kill. They might find more. Been getting some good value out of the blink.
Burish is fine. DB, he's got the Gleipnir up, and with the Spirit Vessel to follow up, Tino, he just melts. No chance of survival AG just swarm him. And sure, you did end up binding Varish at the end, but is it really worth your pos 3 DK? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's probably not worthwhile. I mean, you're still happy overall because, again, you found that kill on Pota 2 earlier, so it still feels like a gain for Execration, but it's not a clean enough game. Net worth lead still stands for AG. They've got this opportunity to look for the top push with the Helm 3 Overlord of Wami cutting through the creep wave already. And again, Narman's Blink is within 200 gold now, Mike. So Doom Initiation's going to be there. You can just start off, maybe get that War Stomp you talked about in the draft, Mike, and just start controlling even bigger heroes. Execration, though, working the map well enough. Bob is just shoving down the bot, getting the build-up he wants on the Kotal, rushing the Blink here on the Keeper of the Light. That is costing him map control. With the top gone, outpost control is given the way of AG. Next, Roshan becomes easier for AG to take. And that's very important for Execration because they have really great Rosh fighting spells. They have great ways of fighting in that pit, and it's just going to be harder for them to find that angle now.
Can I just say as well, John, I think the spell that you've got on the Doom right now is really good. Like, he got the Purge, the 5-second Purge, and you think about it against the Void, John, but he time walks away, you just Purge him. What does he do? Just nothing. You know, it's quite a decent range as well, I think. Like, for a Doom, it's not too hard to land it.
Yeah. It's going to be really painful for Paulus if he does get caught out. They don't quite have Force Staffs to kind of remedy that as well. Moonlight out from Execration, though. They do have that Chrono still hanging around, but they don't see the angle, and AG just clumped up mid. Fresh Blink on Norma now up. We'll see if they do decide to make a play off the back of that.
Narman. Up towards the top lane he goes, Bob. It's going to reveal... Oh, look at that DB. He knows exactly where he's gone. Bob, he's going to try to get out, but the Gleipnir is going to hold him down, and eventually they'll have their way with him. No two ways about it, John. DB, he does not hesitate every time he sees Bob on the map.
Yeah, they just go for that big target. Keeping down a Kotal this way, it just prevents that snowball start. Bob is doing great. I mean, you know, he's still number one on his team, kind of trading places with Palos, not too far behind from Wami. So the build-up's still coming out. It just doesn't feel like it's been very impactful, that investment from Kotal this game. The potential's still there with a Chrono combination with Illuminate, but Execration just haven't been able to find those engagements. Now down bot, Palos again.
Uh-oh, here we go. Palos already gone. DB taking him out. I believe it was, what, a Doom committed with the Gleipnir? Sadly, I missed that kill, Jonathan. That was my fault, but mid lane now. We won't miss this one. Tino also getting caught out here with the Raw, forcing the Golem to drop as Tino. He's going to try and stun up and fight back, but Potta too. He's just going to go all the way. Look at this. Lasso out onto the Mirana. He'll take Tino as well. That's quick thinking from Potta. He takes the Mirana because he knows he's already got the Dragon Knight. There was no escaping for Tino.
And now the high ground's under threat. Respawns are fairly short in Execration. They still have, at the very least, the Chrono ready, but no Golem to tie into that. Not even a value point in upheaval for Vincenzo as well, so no follow-up control for the Chrono. You do have the Kotal who can clear out creep waves. That's a positive, as they will be able to maybe kick in that backdoor soon.
You've got Chrono up. Palos can try to force a fight here with this Mjolnir available, but even with that, maybe he's still lacking damage. They might have to force a smoke, and they will. 4-man smoke up here from Execration. But I say 4, but it was actually 5-man smoke. AG. Wami will break the smoke. Varish is there to help out, but they do at least have the Beastmaster, so he is actually alive, walking out of the... Oh boy, that's a Chrono. It only lands on the Doom, and now Potta. He's going to move in, but Palos is going to try and force the fight here against the Batrider, but look at the damage output. Oh, he melts. Absolutely melting here on the Void is now Bob. No Quelling Blade. No way out of the tree line. Is going to go down. Vincenzo, he will soon follow. What do you do, John? I mean, it was an attempt at a Chrono, but certainly not a very good one.
No, not the situation Execration want to find themselves in. AG should be able to find, I believe, 2 racks, maybe even just a tier 4s, knowing that Golem's still down for quite some time. Chrono was just expended. There's nothing to stop the side of Execration. The wave clear is still there. Maybe they just respect that back door and go for the secondary racks up top. But the fight is starting to leave the hands of Execration. It does start to feel like AG's in such a strong position that Execration has to hope for AG to
Tino?
misplay. Going forward from Tino, though.
Arrow's going to connect as well. They might at least be able to find this +4 Doom. Narman actually very tanky on that Doom, but eventually does go down, and he'll just kind of allow everyone else from AG to leave the area. It's perfectly fine for him to die like that. They already got the mid-racks anyway, and they'll just start focusing on the other outer objectives. There's Wami. Quickly blink out there, and the Beastmaster will be fine. And it seems like Varish has actually scouted out Roshan for AG now, so definitely the objective you want to try and go for if you are Army Geniuses. Or maybe just top lane, Palos. Can he run? They've got the blink up. Potta2 not leaving this man alone as he lands the lasso. Do they have the lockdown though? Palos disposes there in time. He can still know he can't time walk. He just can't make it. Tino to drop as well. This Batrider, really impressive positioning, I've got to say, John. Right? He plays like a Mirana. He's always in the tree line. He's always having these really weird angles to kind of come at you at. And props to Execration, John. That time around, they do scan him out. But it was already too late.
Yeah, Potta2 is just getting so much work out. I love how AG's using the Marcy. Varish is always in the right position to rebound off, get the dispose. Super active on this hero. With those big kills, straight into the Roche they go. And it's just another big objective to enable high ground. Top lane is exposed. They can kind of go for the tier 3 interacts. Bot is still protected by the tier 2. But again, Execration, we're not seeing that teamfight connection here much. We're not seeing the big chrono into the Illuminates with a golem drop afterwards. And even if the chrono comes out, the damage from Palos, it's sort of there with the Mjolnir, but it's not amazing burst damage. The heroes from AG are fairly tanky now. Great smoke out here as well.
Oh, he's got to avoid the roar here, John. Wami, he'll jump right in. They have the Hawk Vision. Golem will be dropped. He's still alive for now, but the Doom comes out. Narman, he makes it in time. Palos is gone again. Meanwhile, DB right in there on the Nature's Prophet with the Aegis up, just finding his way to victory as Execration. They've got to run. They've got to get out, but there's no way out. Another lasso. Catches Tino. Vincenzo, he's not making it out either. Easily taken down as Varish might eventually drop and does, but it's going to be a full team wipe, it seems. Shanks, he's going to try and leap away, but he is out of charges now. A full team wipe the way of Army Geniuses. Hell, they could just go right for tier 4s if they wanted, I think.
They've got that opportunity, but again, they play it safe. They understand, well, by the respawn of Palos, he's going to have Chrono. They have the potential to still maybe take a fight. And he will just go for the objective play. They kind of back off, though. I expected a high ground siege up top. Only Norman's showing up, although DB will TP in. And he does have the full AC almost fully done. I think it's already flying in. So fully kitted out Nature's Prophet. Has the Sprout Leech talent up as well. Doesn't take too long to melt.
Oh, Gleipnir. It was there in time. Palos, he can still try to get the damage out in time onto DB. There's no Aegis up, but no, he's gone. He is just dead so quickly. GG. Execration, they know they've got no chance in this game anymore. I think it all goes back to the mid-coddle, John. I don't necessarily want to blame Bob. What I'm going to say, though, is Potta2, he really set this team up for victory this game.
They really did. He really did. Potta2 played an amazing game. He had those solo kills on Bob mid that you don't expect for the Batrider versus Kotl. And we expected Bob to understand the matchup because, again, he's a very proficient Batrider player himself. So, you know, he picks the Kotl. It's like, all right, great counter pick. You've got the range. You've got wave clear. AG were set up for it. They block off the camp with that cheeky little smoke earlier on. Took a while for Bob to clear it out. And it just back to that draft. You have an off lane DK. You have a mid Kotl and a safe lane Void. None of those are big playmakers. Whereas for AG, sure, you know, they didn't have the best initiation until blinks were up, but they were making it work just with the early travels timing on Potta2. They were just working the map. They had lower cooldowns on single target spells, and they just constantly forced the aggression where Execration just couldn't respond. You have this combination with Dragon Tail Arrow on the DK Mirana, but your Warlock doesn't really do much. Your Void does nothing with Chrono because there's no real damage inside outside of maybe Illuminate, and even that was a bit wonky early on. And I think for Execration, seeing how AG plays and knowing how AG plays after all this time, like, they've got to be able to match that early aggression. They can't afford to go too greedy in the draft like this by next game.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, we are going to head off to a very short break, and right after the break, we'll be back with game number 2's draft, and we'll see what Execration can try and do to force this to a game number 3. We'll see you there.